Hello there, guys. My name's Alex Mossop. I'm a course director from the School of Psychology, and on behalf of the university and the school, I'd like to welcome you to this Open Day presentation. I'm a course director in the school, and so I'm a person you can come to for academic advice and course advice. I'm also a teacher in the undergraduate course. Before I begin, I should do a welcome to country. I should point out that I'm doing this presentation from the lands of the Wurundjeri people of the Kulin Nation. Okay, so what are we going to cover today in these brief 30 minutes? Well, I'll talk about why you might want to study psychology. What's our take on undergraduate psychology? What do we have to offer you, and what do we think is good about what we do, and why you should think about a career in psychology via Deakin. And I'll end by talking about some pathways beyond an undergraduate degree. As many of you probably already know, being a psychologist, being a registered practicing psychologist requires more than just an undergraduate degree. But I'll also talk about a lot of the jobs that you can do with just a degree in psychology. And then, like I said, we'll have some questions, a question and answer session after this. You can also add questions in the chat as we go. Okay, so why study psychology? Well, I think it's an easy sell. I think a lot of you guys are attracted to psychology for the same reason that many of us were, and it's because we study what's possibly the most interesting thing that exists: mind, behavior, consciousness, and with a focus obviously on humans, on people. And people are the most interesting thing you'll encounter in your life, is other people. And so we study something that's inherently interesting, but of course also very challenging, and often the people we work with are very vulnerable. So there's a lot at stake. But it's inherently interesting and rewarding. So, but I think you know that already. I don't think I need to sell this too hard. You can make a difference in people's lives. From a professional perspective, mental health is not going anywhere. It's growing. It's becoming more prominent in people's lives, and in terms of governments and how governments allocate funding, or everything from training through to treatment. Governments, organizations, managers are more and more realizing the importance of mental health for things like well-being and productivity and social cohesion. And you can see that very much through the pandemic that we've been having of late, how mental health is so prominent. So professionally, that is making us more and more relevant. So I think we've been a growth profession for a very, very long time, and we continue to grow, and if anything, accelerate in that growth. Why study psychology with us? There are many providers of psychology. I think there are 36 universities offering psychology. So again, we're not alone. So what's the competitive edge? Why bother studying with us? What are the advantages? Well, at the core of it, most courses of psychology, we're all accredited. We're accredited by an organization called APAC, the Accreditation Council of the Australian Psychology Society. So we all have to cover certain things, and so we cover a lot of the same content. Where we differ is in things like access, availability, how we teach, and all the additional things we offer. As you'll discover when you start at university, half to 3/4 of your degree might be made up of compulsory subjects, but the other half is made up of elective subjects. And so one of the questions that students often don't ask themselves, but should ask, is what do I want to do? What do I want to do with psychology? What would I like to do to enhance my undergraduate studies in psychology? So what do we offer, and how do we offer it? We're very, very flexible at Deakin University. We, just let me cough, hang on. Oh, don't pity that got recorded. We're very, very flexible. We offer all of the teaching that we do in psychology. We offer it live. We also offer it recorded. We record our live classes, like what I'm doing right now. I'm recording it right now. We have face-to-face activities, but we also have parallel Zoom-based activities. So what's great about Deakin is that we've been doing this blended hybrid approach since the get-go. It's nothing new for us. In fact, when the pandemic struck, we so-called pivoted within an afternoon. We just went, okay, so we have to shut down our classroom activities. We're going to relocate everybody to our cloud activities. We didn't have to create anything or do anything differently. So what's important for us is that students have choices. They can engage with us in all kinds of different ways. There's no disadvantage to being online. Online's not some afterthought that we've just tacked onto our courses. We have, in fact, what's called an online first approach. We build things as though they were going to be only delivered online, and then we offer those things face-to-face as well. That means very flexible for you, but also very high quality, regardless of which pathway you choose to take. So I think that's really it's in our DNA at Deakin. And in psychology, we've taken that to the extreme. We offer everything that we do, every single thing, right up to and including our 4th year. You can do it online, you can do it face-to-face, you can mix and match. In fact, a lot of face-to-face students, they show up occasionally when it suits them, family commitments, work commitments. When it suits them, when it suits them, they show up face-to-face. When it doesn't, they just go to the online versions. And that online can mean live. It's still live. Like this, if you're in my classroom right now, you could be asking questions, all kinds of things, still live, or you can just go to the recording of this later. And that's true for tutorials. It's true for lecture classes, all kinds of things. So very, very, very equivalent, but flexible, which is, I think, very advantageous for students. We've got very active psychological societies. There are several of them, but there's even, well, there's actually 2, but there's one core one that's for psychology students. So students who want to not just be a member of some student organization, but a psychology specific one. So you can belong to DUSA, the Deakin Uni Student Association, or you can belong to DUPS as well, the Deakin University Psych Society, which is a subset of DUSA. So it's quite an active networking experience and socializing experience for you, which is all the more important during and following the pandemic. It's very important to reconnect with people, career-wise and mental health-wise. So it's very useful. We have 3 teaching periods. Now, most universities will have a summer program. And I don't want to belittle them because everyone's got their own foci. So we in Psych have really done this well. We don't have some add-on where we offer some of our subjects over summer in a curtailed format or compressed format. We have 3 trimesters. We call them trimesters, not semesters. They're trimesters. We've got 3 of them. One of them runs through summer. It is no different from the other 2 in its scale, scope, content, or structure. It's exactly the same thing. And we offer all of our core psychology subjects, that is the subjects you've got to take, we offer them all additionally in that summer trimester. That's extremely versatile and useful from a student's perspective, because what it means is, for example, let's say you don't want to go full time. Oh, that means it's got, rather than finishing my degree in, say, 3 years, it'll take me 6 years. No, not necessarily. You can study part-time, but you can include summer studies in your part-time studies. And conversely, if you want to fast track, if you want to study full-time, but on steroids, you can study full-time and also study full-time in summer. You can do, in fact, a 3-year degree, you can do it in psychology in 2 years if you're willing to study over summer. So you can stretch out your studies without falling behind in terms of calendar years. You can stretch them out by including summer, or you can compress your study time by really doing full-time studies in that summer trimester. So it's very useful. Well, I don't want to get dark here, but let's say you fail a subject, rather than having to wait a whole year to retake that subject, you can retake that subject in summer. So you don't fall behind even when you fail. So look for the silver lining, right? So very, very useful. We've got extremely high satisfaction. We've got very high satisfaction at Deakin University overall. It's one of the things that we're most proud of. Psychology is in the top group. Yeah, we're always in the top group of 2 or 3 schools. I think we're currently at the top of student satisfaction in terms of both how students are satisfied with us while they're studying with us, and also, and possibly more importantly, after they graduate from us, when they're then surveyed afterwards, when the dust has settled, they're still highly satisfied with us, absolute terms and in relative terms. So we're very happy with that, because we offer good things. I've already mentioned this, online cloud learning, extremely useful now in the land of Zoom, to be able to do this. And again, we've been doing this sort of thing, this online and on-campus hybrid. We've been doing this since the get-go. Since they had an internet, we've been offering internet teaching. So we're good at it. We do it as it's natural. It's like I said, it's in our DNA. Oh, it says that there. Digital is in our DNA. I thought I was being quite original there, but obviously I'm not. Someone else wrote that. Oh well, unless I wrote this slide. Maybe I wrote this slide. Who knows? Maybe I did. Maybe I didn't. I'm getting old. Okay, there's financial support for you guys. There are scholarships that you can access. There are many of them. They come and go. They're quite complex. I don't know them off the top of my head. Some of them are very generic. We offer some within the school as well, little prizes and mini scholarships, but you find out about those once you enroll. But there are also bigger ones that you can apply for before you enroll. So just go to that link there. Was it fees and scholarships, and check that out. I don't know them off the top of my head, but they're very useful. Okay, so what's the structure of our courses? Well, this is it. And so you got year 1, year 2, year 3. Now we offer 3-year degrees. We also offer 4-year degrees that have an honours year as part of it. You can do a 3-year degree, which would look like this, and then apply separately for the honours year, a 4th year, if you want to do it. Or we've even got courses that include that 4th year as part of it. They're all the same. They're all equivalent. You can jump between the courses. So at open days, but also enrollment days, you can discuss these things further with us. But at the end of the day, it's very flexible. It's a very flexible thing. So this is the first 3 years that's in common to pretty much any psychology-related course you'll do at Deakin University. This is a common format. But notice, so you got 3 years. The blue stuff is subjects that we offer: introduction, this, foundations of that, cognition, social psychology, research methodology, psychopathology, abnormal psychology, personality psychology. We offer the core discipline-specific skills. We offer those. But notice a whole bunch of this is grey. It's electives. And what you put in those, what you select there, and you've got choices, right? That flavors your degree, right? It gives it a flavor, a theme. And obviously you want that you want to try some things, I guess, but you also want it to align with your career aspirations, right? We have a work placement, an internship unit that's generally offered in 3rd year. We recommend that as one of the electives, but you don't have to do it if you don't want. If you've got work experience, if you're mature age, for example, you probably don't need to do that. But if you are fresh out of school, you might want to do that. I think it's useful. You can find out a bit about yourself. And this is that 4th year. That, like I said, it can be part of your Bachelor of Psychology honours. If you do that course, it's part of it. Or you can do just the Bachelor of Psychological Science, a 3-year degree, and then apply for this as a separate degree. What's called a Bachelor of Psychological Science honours, a separate 4th year. I know it seems confusing, but it's like some students just want a 3-year degree and get me out of here. I just want to go and live and work and set me free. Others, especially those who really know they want to continue in psychology, they want to just add the 4th year degree in their course. It's almost like giving us an indication that they're intending to go on. But of course, it's very flexible. You can jump between courses. You can change your mind. You can add the 4th year separately. So, don't worry about it. 4th year, what is it? Well, it's prestigious. It's hard to get in. Even if you're doing the 4-year degree, you're not guaranteed to get into that 4th year. You need to perform well. Well in what? In your 2nd and 3rd year core psychology subjects. So these 2nd and 3rd year ones, human mind, social behavior, downwards, those ones, you do them typically in your 2nd and 3rd year. You need to do well in those in order to qualify for the 4th year. Because 4th year is like a putting into practice. It's like a boot camp. It's like a psychology boot camp where the first 3 years you learn about psychology. The 4th year you do psychology. And so it covers things like practice-related activities, counseling activities, putting them really into practice, but also putting research skills into practice as well. We want you to be what's called a scientist practitioner, combining science and practice. You need to be an evidence-based psychologist. So doing research isn't something we do on the side, it's core. When you do your undergrad degree, you can combine it. Remember, we were talking a minute ago about all those electives. Well, we've packaged some electives for you in advance if you're interested. Forensic, if you're interested in the criminological side of things. Child and family, if you're interested in family counseling and welfare. And organizational studies, which is business psychology, which is, so they're very different things. Forensic, child, they don't overlap too much. Organizational, very much, it's a separate thing. Business psychology, psychology in the workplace, which is quite a lucrative area of psychology, and it's not crowded out. Because as most of you guys watching this are probably thinking, I never heard of that before. Exactly. And yeah, it's the most lucrative branch of psychology. We're talking money here because it's business related psychology. This is some of the electives we offer in psychology. There are hundreds of potential subjects you can take as electives, though, hundreds of them. There's a great big thick book. If you go to the Deakin website and put and add into your URL handbook, just type in handbook and then find the 2022 handbook. You'll have pages and pages and pages of electives. One of our most important jobs at enrollment day, the course directors help you find electives. Now, some students know what they want to do. Some have no idea. You might want to do languages. You might want to do maths. You might want to do humanities, whatever it is. We've got something for you. But these are the ones we offer in psychology. So we promote them. Notice there's the internship, there's more health, neuro stuff, whatever, lots of things. Okay, what about careers? How do you become a psychologist, and what if you don't want to be a psychologist? Well, if you want to be a psychologist, you need to do more. So you need to do your first 3 years, and then you need to have your 4th year, the honours year. There are other versions of honours as well. I'll mention them very briefly. So your first 4 years give you access to what's called provisional registration as a psychologist, right? So provisional registrations like your learner plates when you drive. You can practice psychology, but under supervision. It's like you can drive a car, but mum or dad has to sit next to you while you drive, right? So that's now why have that kind of registration book? Because that then allows you to do a practical training with real patients. It lets you see patients as part of your training beyond. So your first 4 years prepare you to then see and treat patients under supervision. And that's then important for courses like masters and doctorate courses. So 2-year masters, 3-year doctorates, they're the main ones through which you can get probationary registration. Did I say? Yeah. So the first 4 years provisional, then after that, when you do a master's or a doctorate, probationary registration. And then you can go off and start practicing as a psychologist. What does probation mean? Well, it's like your P plates on a car, right? P plates, you can drive on your own, but don't stuff up. You break the law, you get into trouble, they take away your license really quickly. Probation means you're vulnerable as a practitioner. So the first 4 years, you get provisional registration, which are your L plates. Then if you do a master's or a doctorate, 2 years or 3 years later, you can then start for real practicing as a psychologist, as a probationary psychologist, as a general registered psychologist. There's more beyond that. There are other options. You can join colleges. It's kind of like being a specialist psychology. That you find out more about that when you get to 4th year. You can see what those options are. It's a bit soon now to be talking about those things. Well, that's a long path. You're probably sitting there thinking, what did he say? 3 years, then a 4th year, then another 2 years for a master's, or 3 years for a doctorate. What? I don't have time for that. Well, okay, there are other careers you can do as well. There are other studies in psychology that lead to pathways to work right out from university. So what can you do with just a 3-year or a 4-year degree in psychology, given that you're not yet a psychologist? Well, we've got this really lovely website here. I would highly recommend giving that a squiz. That talks you through a lot of the careers that are out there. We actually tracked psychology graduates at Deakin to see where they went and what they did, and we showcase their outcomes. And hopefully that's inspiring for you guys. So it's things that, notice the word psychology doesn't appear in these examples, but they're often done by psychology graduates. So life counselors, child protection workers, community support workers. What we do and invest quite a bit of time in, especially in our elective subjects, is helping you to access these career options, especially for those students who do not want to go on and do get registered as a psychologist. So one of the things we offer is an internship, where you can, you get to see what you're good at, what you're not good at, what the real life offers. Again, if you've already got a job, if you're a mature age student, it's probably not for you, but if you're straight out of school, this is particularly useful. These are some of the postgrad studies we offer. I mentioned before, we've got masters, doctorates, but you can see there's a lot of them, right? I can't go, I've got only a few minutes left. I can't go through these in any detail. These are the beginnings of a conversation. You know, when you see what's out there, where it's offered, how it's offered, that gives you an idea of what's there, what's possible, and you can then contact us today or in future, and we can discuss these options more. They're all like, you might want to do a certificate in counselling or a diploma in counselling. So I'm interested in psychology, but I don't want to study all those extra years. Well, these are very quick courses that let you become counsellors. So you've got a psych degree, a diploma or a certificate in counselling, and off you go. Many of the most interesting jobs that are done in human welfare and support are not done by registered psychologists. There aren't that many of them, and they're quite expensive. So there are a lot of good work options out there for you. The graduate diploma of psychological science is one that I'll mention very briefly. It's a fee-paying course, but it means you can circumvent a degree. It's for students who've already got a degree. So you've already got a degree, you tick that box, I have a degree. You just don't have the psychology core sequence, those subjects that I showed you in that little table from before. You don't have that core sequence. This allows you to just do those subjects, so you can do them very quickly. That's something to think about. Everything we do is accredited. Again, I mentioned APAC before. The Psych Society's Accreditation Council accredits us. Okay, so if you're interested, where do you start? Well, it's always worth having a look at, you know, ATAR cutoffs. Again, if you're a year 12 Exeter, what do you need? Well, to get into psych, 60 will do the trick. If you want, that's if you want to do the 3-year degree. If you want to do the 4-year degree, an 80 will get you in. But yeah, if you don't have an 80, that doesn't mean you can't do the 4th year. You can get into the 3-year course, transfer. So after every trimester, you can apply to transfer. How does that work? Well, if you're getting decent marks, like a C average in what you're doing, you can transfer. So we're very flexible. The key is get into university, and then lots of doors open. So don't think you're stuck with whatever you choose. So I've been focusing on the top 2 courses, but all of these other courses have the same core sequence of psychology. So through all these other courses, they're all undergraduate psychology courses. So you might want to do psychology with nursing, psychology with criminology, marketing, human resources, arts, health. Which one should you pick? Well, if you're interested in humanities as electives, like languages and history, you would probably do the Bachelor of Arts Psychology. If you're interested in health sciences, we do that. Again, it's very intuitive. You know, I'm really interested in criminology. Well, do the combined criminology psych degree. Do that one. That's a 4-year. It's got 2 courses packed into 4 years. Same with nursing, you know, so you get 2 vocations at the same time. Very, very useful, very powerful stuff. So there's a bit of intuitive element to this, isn't there? You know, whatever you find interesting is what you're attracted to. But the important thing being, you're not locked in. You can move around between these courses very easily. They're just repackaging of different combinations of subjects, right? So once you start, you can easily change your mind, and everything you've completed will come with you. So it's not like you wasted your time. If you study for a year and then you want to transfer to another course, you get to bring most, if not all, of those subjects with you. If they're common subjects, you get to bring them all. So there's huge, huge flexibility. What about if you're not a school leaver? We're very open to non-school leavers. In fact, maturity is a very valuable thing in something like psychology. So if you've come from some other background, obviously it's more complex, isn't it, for you? If you haven't studied for a long time, like 10 years, you really need some evidence that you're fit for academic work, right? So that's where you might do the special tertiary admissions test, the STAT test. It evaluates language and quantitative skills, math skills. But we look very broadly. It comes to a course director and we look at it and we make a very holistic decision. So this gives you an idea of what we're after. So have a squiz at that later. Like I said, I've got a few minutes left. There's a Deakin Accelerate program. So if you're in high school and you want to start taking some Deakin subjects, yes, you can. Go to Accelerate here, click on that link. Well, it's not a link, is it? You have to type it into your URL window, your browser window, and you can do that. That will, it's some very interesting options for students in high school. VCE Extension, I think, is the formal name. International entry requirements, there's some details there about those. I'm no expert on the international side of things, but they're the requirements for you. Your IELTS score, your English as second language scores that you need to have, 6.5. It's all gobbledygook to me, to be honest. I don't even know what a lot of this stuff means, but there are all these formal requirements you need as an international student. But once you're in, good for you. Okay, so anyway, thanks for joining us. I apologize for having coughed into the microphone. It's terrible. I'm doing this, one of the first things I'm doing today. I haven't spoken that much today, so my voice was a bit rough. We've now got a question and answer after party for you. So you can ask questions there and have them answered. But again, think of this as the beginning of a conversation. The open days are not a one-stop shop. You're not going to get all the information you need. In fact, most of you are realizing right now, geez, there's a lot more to it than I thought. It's just the tip of the iceberg. This is the beginning. You need to start doing your homework. You need to start researching, and you research by calling, by going online, by talking to people, and you'll find out things that you didn't even know to ask. And so this is, like I said, the beginning of a conversation. So as you're shopping around for courses, universities, careers, yes, it's time consuming and it's effortful, but it's a well worth investment of your time, because this will map out to some extent your future, or at least the beginnings of your future, right? So yeah, it's really well worth it. So ask all your questions. We'll do our best to answer them, but meet us again. Don't let this be the end. This is just the beginning, right? Okay, that's all I've got. Alex here, signing off. Bye-bye.
Hello and welcome to the School of Psychology Q&A session today. I'm Associate Professor Linda Byrne and I'm the Deputy Head of School in the School of Psychology. And today I'm joined by our presenters, Associate Professor Alex Mussop, and he's one of our course directors of the Bachelor of Psychology Honours course, and Steph Sharman, who's the director of our Bachelor of Psychological Science course. And also very pleased to introduce Miss Maria Somadelli, a graduate and current student. Now, today I'm joining you from the Wurundjeri land, and I'd like to acknowledge the traditional owners of the land on which we live and work and pay my respects to their elders past, present and emerging. And I extend that respect to the Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander people who may be joining us today. Now, if you'd like to ask a question, please type your question into the Q&A session in the question panel on this page. And we're going to do our best to respond to all of your questions during this session. If you have any unanswered questions at the end of the session, our team of experts will be available on web chat all day to assist you with any questions, including any specific international student-related admission or fee queries. At the bottom right-hand corner of your screen, you'll notice a yellow Chat Now icon. Please click on this after the session to be connected with our team. Now, to kick us off, I'm going to give our first question. I think I might even start with you, Maria. I've been asked a question about the type of work integrated learning or internships that are offered during the undergraduate year. I think that you actually did an internship, didn't you? Could you tell us a little bit about that?
Correct. That's a great question, actually, because it's actually a thing that every student is looking to actually put ourselves into a placement. So psychology offers quite a range of elective units that are placement relevant. So myself, I did do one during my second year, actually, which I was offered a job within the Department of Health, Families and Fairness within the Government of Victoria. And that was a great opportunity to see whether I actually want to do that particular job in the future. And you also get to see how it actually works, whether you like it, whether it's for you. It's a real good opportunity for students. And I really, really appreciate that Deakin Soy for that.
Fantastic. And we do have a wide range of opportunities within our placement units. They're called work integrated learning at the undergraduate level, and it's just a short internship. So I might kick over to you now, Steph. We've got a question from Mel. Can psychology lead to a career in forensic psychology, or will they need to take a double degree in psychology and criminology?
Great question, Mel. Welcome everyone to our information session today. So there's a couple of ways that you can get into an area of forensic psychology through our courses that we offer. First of all, we do have a major in forensic psychology as part of our undergraduate degree. So if you are interested in understanding why people maybe commit crimes, or you want to get involved in that forensic area, you can do our Bachelor of Psychological Science forensic major. That would be one way you could do it. Otherwise, we do have a double degree with criminology as well. So if you're interested in both psychology and criminology, you can complete the double degree in psychology and criminology as well. That's another great way to get into that area of forensic psychology.
Yeah, fantastic. But to become a forensic psychologist, you don't really need to do the double degree, but many people do it because it's quite complementary as well. Now, I'm going to hand over to you now, Alex. We've got a question from someone who's asking, are you guaranteed a fourth year place if you study the Bachelor of Psychology Honours and get the required ATAR? Are there course requirements you need to meet to progress into the fourth year?
Yeah, that's a very pertinent question. No, there's no guarantee. You need to perform well competitively in the level 2, that's year 2 and year 3 core psychology subjects. And when you enroll in that course, you'll discover more about what those subjects are, but they are this core sequence that is mandated by our professional body that regulates quality control basically of students. So simply entering that course does not guarantee access to the fourth year, and for obvious reasons. I mean, you'll be working eventually with very vulnerable people on sensitive issues. You're simply getting into a course with an ATAR score from year 12 doesn't guarantee that you are suitable for that kind of work. So you need to also perform well academically and progress through the course really well. So yeah, so it is competitive, and it's a good thing that it's competitive. I know it's not great from a student's perspective, but it's a good thing that it's competitive. It's quality control. So yes, it's tough.
Now I'm going to follow up with another question about fourth year psychology, and I think that Maria, you're currently doing fourth year at the moment. Is that correct?
Yeah.
Yes. So we can probably have a few people answer this one. There's someone asking, saying, I've heard that fourth year is very intense. Would it be difficult to maintain excellent grades with the aim of getting into a master's while working part-time? If you can't afford not to work, what would be recommended? So I might pass over to Maria again, just to talk about your experience, whether you're doing it full-time, part-time, whether you find that very intense.
Look, I agree, might be tough. Yes, it's all about balancing between work, placement, studying, personal life as well. However, I do believe that every student will have a different experience and different techniques on how to manage, and it does take a bit of time to figure out what works best for every single student. But in saying that, Deakin gives a lot of opportunities to decide how many units you want to do, what works better for you, and you can always do it at your own pace. So if it's full-time or part-time, Deakin offers this flexibility that matches your own pace, which is really important too.
Yeah, so we have a lot of students do it full-time, and then we have probably an equal number these days that do it part-time, and that's just reflecting how busy people's lives are and wanting to make sure that they do have that balance there. Steph or Alex, any thoughts from you about the process of fourth year and what they need to keep in mind?
Yeah, I would just want to add that you can also do it online, which adds tremendous amount of flexibility, and very, very few places offer a fourth year in online mode. And that's great, obviously, from a pandemic perspective, but it's also great from a work-life balance perspective. So you can go part-time and you can go online. So it really cuts down on your travel and presence obligations. So that's really good.
That's right. And all of our courses are APAC accredited. So it doesn't matter which mode that you do them in. They're all the same as far as our accreditation body counts. Now I have a question for, once again, probably both Steph and Alex. Is there a difference between studying psychological science versus the psychology honours?
Yes, there is a difference. So if you study the psychological science, it's our 3-year undergraduate degree, and it's just a straight bachelor degree. The Bachelor of Psychology Honours has that 4th year, that honours year attached to it. So if you are planning on going further in psychology, we recommend that you take that 4th year. So if you enrol in the honours degree, then you've got that 4th year attached. Although, as Alex said, you do need to make those mark requirements to get an offer for that 4th year.
But from a student perspective, being enrolled in the Bachelor of Psychological Science versus the Bachelor of Psychology Honours, the first 3 years, it's all the same. You're taking the same subjects, you get the same kind of opportunities in terms of electives and things like that. So from a course perspective, there's really not a difference between studying in one or the other. All right, so I've got a question about how interactive are our classes and what's our student-teacher ratio? Maria, could you maybe talk about how interactive you found some of the classes? I mean, I guess it depends on the class that you're in, but what's some of your experiences that you might like to share?
Absolutely. It really depends on as well the mode that you're doing your course. So I've been doing my first 2 years online because of the pandemic that happened. That I did find a lot interactive because you actually join all the classes and the seminars online, and you get to speak afterwards with other students, and you exchange thoughts, or you actually even discuss how you find the content. But being on campus, which is really, really nice as well. I wish I had more time to explore the campus too. Gives you a lot of opportunity to actually meet new people. Now, in regards to students and teachers ratio, it really depends what class you're going to get in. There are some classes that are very, very high in demand. I found that Mondays and Tuesdays, 12 o'clock, it's really peak hour for students. We really prefer that. So again, it really depends on what you get in.
Fantastic. And look, in terms of the student-staff ratio, I mean, student-staff ratios are sort of set once again by our accrediting body. The individual experience will vary across the various units that you do. So you might be taking a class, which is a big lecture that might have hundreds of people in that class with you, and then you'll also be doing seminars, which will be much smaller. So where you'll be interacting with your tutor there. So it just varies depending upon what the subjects are and who shows up on the day. Okay, we've got a few questions that are around postgraduate psychology, so I might just quickly field a couple of those. So we've got some questions around the difference between a generalist psychologist and a clinical psychologist, and I've got another question which is related to that around what is an area of practice endorsement. So a generalist psychologist in Australia is someone who has either completed what we call the 4+2 pathway. And so that's when you've finished your honours degree, you've graduated, and then you're working as a provisional psychologist for 2 years under supervision. Now that pathway is actually closed off now. So there are some people that are in that pathway at the moment will be the last to undertake that. So after that pathway, you're considered a generalist psychologist. The other pathway to a generalist psychologist has been replaced by what we call the 5+1. So that's after the 4th year, you do a 1-year Master of Professional Psychology course, and then a 1-year internship under supervision, and that qualifies you to work as a generalist psychologist. A clinical psychologist has extra training. So after 4th year, you would enter into a Master's of Clinical Psychology or a doctorate. So you'd study for another 2 to 3 years. And then once you graduate from that postgraduate course, which specializes in clinical psychology, you then do 2 years where you are once again working under supervision before you can call yourself an endorsed clinical psychologist. So it's quite a long pathway, and you are trained in the diagnosis and treatment of people with a range of different disorders. Now, in terms of what is different about them, usually they just work in different settings. So often clinical psychologists will be working in hospitals. And in terms of the work that they do, some of it's quite similar because they're all trained in therapy, but someone who's a clinical psychologist has a lot more training in diagnosis and therapeutic interventions. All right, so moving on. Can an undergraduate degree in psychology lead to a PhD in clinical or cognitive neuropsychology? I'll throw that to Alex or Steph.
Oh, okay. So any undergraduate degree can lead to a PhD, and the topic that you choose to do it in. So you have to complete your undergraduate degree, your 4th year, and then you can apply for a PhD. And the topic that you can do it in varies. So we've got a lot of great supervisors here at Deakin, and they've all got really different research interests. So you can choose one of those supervisors to help you through that PhD journey. And we do have a lot of people interested in cognitive neuropsychology. With clinical psychology, you could do a clinical related project for your PhD if you're interested in that kind of direction as well. So absolutely.
Yeah. Absolutely. So the key things to keep in mind there is it's not directly from your undergraduate degree. You do have to do that 4th year, either honours or a graduate diploma advanced. And also when you're doing a PhD, even if you're doing it in the topic area of neuropsychology or in clinical psychology, that doesn't qualify you to become a clinical psychologist or a neuropsychologist. They're very specific, separate pathways that require a master's or a PhD and master's in that particular specialty area.
Could I also add that we have scholarships for those courses as well. So if you're doing a PhD, or for that matter, a clinical doctorate with us, they're very, very generous financial supports for you because they're research degrees and the government supports them additionally. And then no fees around those courses too.
Now, a lot of people are interested in finding out what kind of jobs does a Bachelor of Psychological Science get you into? So thinking about those people that graduate after 3 years and decide not to become a psychologist, what are their options? Alex?
Sorry, guys. Yeah. I was just going to grab. We've got a really good web link that I was just going to put up. I'm too old and too slow to copy and paste quickly enough. I'll put it up in the little chat thing in a second. So what we've done is created this. We've tracked our graduates to see where they go. So this isn't just theory and ideal. We've actually seen where they finished up, and as you'll see when you go to that website, there's a whole lot of varied, interesting, and human-facing kinds of jobs that you can do. In fact, some of the most interesting jobs, the most appealing jobs to students aren't done by people with masters and doctorates in psychology. They typically work in more clinical settings, in clinics, in hospitals, and maybe in management and training. Some of the face-to-face, a lot of the face-to-face jobs are done by people with just 3 or 4 years of study in psychology, and they're in areas like child protection, human resources, including things like marketing, organizational work. There's a huge variety. I'll put up that link right now. Just give me a second. I'll put up that link. But that's a very good question. And it's a very important question. You don't need to go all the way down the yellow brick road to become to get into a job that's very interesting and very helping oriented. You can do it with just 3 or 4 years of study.
That's right. And looking at the sort of learning outcomes of the course is really important as well. I mean, if you think about it, all of the skills that you're learning during that undergraduate degree are all skills that relate to all kinds of jobs. There isn't a single job that is out there that you won't benefit from having a better understanding of human behavior, which is what it's about. And also you get quite a lot of training in research methods. So a lot of our graduates go into jobs where they have to analyze data, that are tracking information, and really using those skills that they get in their undergraduate degree. Okay, I've got a question from someone who's hoping to go into counselling. What study pathway would benefit them most?
We actually offer a couple of really fantastic counselling electives at the moment at Deakin. So you can take counselling as part of your undergraduate degree. We've got a counselling unit at second year, and we'll also have one at third year to really introduce you to those counselling skills that are super important, not just for counselling, but in a range of different jobs once you graduate. So those would be really useful. You don't have to take a specific pathway or do anything different with your undergraduate degree. You can just pick up those counselling electives if that's what you're interested in.
Absolutely. And we also do have a graduate certificate in counselling and a graduate diploma in counselling as well. So many of our graduates choose to gain those extra skills once they've finished their bachelor degree and take on that postgraduate course in counselling. So there are a lot of pathways being at Deakin to follow if you're interested in counselling. All right, so I've got a question about, can you work in social work after studying psychology? Alex?
Yeah, I mean, you're not a social worker. I mean, if you know that you want to be a social worker, do a social work degree. They're 4-year degrees, and you can do some psychology studies as electives as part of your social work. But you can work in areas. I mean, the thing about social work, counseling, psychology, as you can probably tell, they overlap tremendously. So the jobs, social worker is a position, it's a qualification. It's not a job in and of itself. You can do social work with all manner of undergraduate qualifications, including psychology. But if you want to be a social worker, maybe do social work, not psychology. I think what's great about psychology, though, is that it gives you more options past that. So you can work in social work settings, but you can also work in a lot of other settings as a psychologist and go on and become a psychologist as well. So that's the difference between those professions.
Fantastic. Also got a question here about double degrees. We talked a little bit about the double degree in criminology and psychology before. So someone's asked the question, if they want to do a psychology double degree at Deakin, and there are a few of those, there's one with nursing, there's one with criminology. What's our other double degree that we have?
I think it's only those two.
Only those two. Okay.
Yeah, we've got marketing, human resources as well.
Yes, they're not double degrees though, Alex. They're
combined degree.
Yeah, yep. So we do have, not in the School of Psychology, but still at Deakin, there is a Bachelor of Marketing Psychology and there is a Bachelor of Human Resources Psychology. So they have dual endorsement, dual accreditation. So they're accredited both with APAC. So if you want to go down the psychology route and become a psychologist, you can do that degree. But equally, if you want to work in HR or in marketing, people have that as complementary majors within their degree. Now, in terms of doing those other two double degrees, so criminology or nursing, absolutely. If you do those degrees, you still have an accredited sequence in psychology, and you can go down the pathway of your 4th year in psychology and then on to postgraduate courses if you gain a place there. Now, here's a question, and I'm interested in Maria's take on this one. What skills are required to be suitable for studying psychology? What skills do you think that help you in studying this degree, Maria?
That's a great question, actually. A lot, but they're also very different from student to student. First of all, you need to be dedicated, I guess, to the course. It does take a lot of time. Some units are also a bit heavy content because we're speaking about psychology. You might find biology within, a bit of counseling units as well, depends on the electives and the major you pick. So you really need to be dedicated and commit to at least, I would say, 40 hours, maybe a week. That's a full-time year as well, trimester. You also be needing to want this. Psychology sometimes can be a bit overwhelming. We learn a lot of things. I found myself learning about biology at the same time as I've been doing my major in child and family at the same time. So it's a bit of everything. So I guess you have to want this, be committed. Yeah, it's really broad topic to speak about.
It really is. So I'm interested, Steph, what would you say that you've observed over the years? So what do you think makes a good candidate in psychology?
Definitely agree with what Maria said. I think it's important to have a passion for psychology and understanding people's behaviour, and I'm really interested in that. I think having good time management skills is also important, because if you are doing a full-time load, we expect you to do, as Maria said, 40 hours a week. And so if you're working at the same time, or you've got children, whatever is going on in your life, there's a lot of things to balance. So it's important to be able to look after your time and make sure you've got time set aside for studying and all that as well. I think those are probably the most two important ones, having that interest and being just aware of your time.
Yeah, and I think understanding what it is that you're going to be studying. So there are lots of topics in psychology, understandably, that are quite sensitive for some people. So understanding that that within some of the course that you're going to have exposure to information that can be quite unsettling. It's about understanding the good things about people and how they interact with others, but also around psychological disorders. So just being aware of what it is that you're coming into and what you're going to learn as well. I've got a question, once again, going back to becoming a psychologist. Is a clinical psychologist the only psychologist that can diagnose mental disorders? They have a lot more training in the diagnostic skills. They have a lot of specialty training in order for them to be able to do that. Diagnosis of mental disorders, though, is something that's also covered in most psychology postgraduate courses. It's part of one of our core competencies at the professional level. And so there is certainly diagnostic coverage in all areas of psychology, with perhaps the exception of something like organizational psychology, where the diagnosis of mental health disorders is not really part of what they do so much. Generally speaking, that needs to be then confirmed by a psychiatrist as well. So, but it does form one of the core competencies across psychology. So it's not just clinical psychologists, although they do have specialty training in that area. Now, I know we're coming up close to the end of our sessions. I wonder, Maria, if you can talk about what did you find about the difference between studying fourth year as opposed to your undergraduate degree? Did you find that there was a bit of a change in terms of your commitment to time or the expectations, any of those things?
Good question. I think the third year is actually more intense, just because you really need to compete with other students all around Deakin, and that includes online, Bearwood campus, all the Geelong campuses as well. It's competitive, it's tough. You need to be there. You need to, as well as Steph said, you need to time manage your life very, very well and commit to a few hours within the week that you're actually going to be studying and nothing else. So yeah, I think that the third year is actually the most intense. And then when you actually get the offer for the fourth year, you get a bit relieved. That doesn't mean that you need to sit down and like do not do any more work, but the third year, it's quite intense.
Fantastic. Thanks for that reflection, Maria. I've got a question from Zara. Is there a limit on how many work integrated learning internships are given out per year? Alex, I know that you used to look after the internship unit. We don't have a quota on that particular course. No. All the students who enrol will find an internship. And so we don't have a set number per year that we actually have it, and there is no limit.
Because I think the questions, yeah, they don't want to know, yeah, what if you can't get a placement? That hasn't happened as far as I know.
No,
ever.
That's right. No, so it is up to the student to find their placement, but we do have a lot of connections with placement organisations, so that people that take our students on internships, so that hasn't been an issue to date at all. So thinking back about, I had another one come through. Is there a pathway for mature age students who wish to transition from other health professions? That's an excellent question.
Yeah, so if you have a degree in a different area and you're interested in transitioning to psychology, we do offer a 1-year graduate diploma in psychology, where you do all of those core psychology units that basically teach you the whole lot in one intensive year. And that allows you to then go on and do 4th year in psychology if that's what you're interested in, or go further. But that's definitely a good pathway for you if you do have a degree in a previous area and you want to come into psychology.
Fantastic. Now, we've got a question saying, now that the 4+2 pathway is being removed, are places even more competitive? What are the chances of progressing to honours as an undergraduate at Deakin?
Yeah, the 4+2 being removed, it doesn't put pressure on the honours year, but that's the 4. That's the 4 in the 4, right? The 4th year. The removal of the +2 is putting pressure on postgraduate, especially postgraduate placements, because yeah, that is going to be harder to get into those things. Yes, I noticed that. I just want to comment, because there are lots of really good questions, high level questions that we're getting, like really sophisticated questions. Not, you know, I'm from year 12. I want to know what you do in first year. There are really high level questions. Don't necessarily think Open Day is a one-stop shop for you. If you've got very sophisticated, nuanced questions of, where does this lead, etc. Talk to us at the university. This is the beginning of a conversation with us, and it's the beginning of your homework. You've got questions like, what credit do I get for prior learning? What options are available to me? What can I do in 4th year, 5th year, 6th year, 7th year? Those sorts of questions. Come and talk to us, and we can really, you know, go over and take our time and really go over the options that are available to you. There's a lot to find out. But that also means there's lots of options for you guys as well.
Fantastic, Alex. And just remember that there will be an in-person Open Day coming up as well. So that'll be another opportunity for you to come and ask us some questions. Now, we are coming up to the end of our live Q&A session, so we're only going to have time for a few more questions. And I've got one from asking about placements again. So this is the work integrated learning placements. Can a placement be with a private clinical psychologist, or are they in organisations like Headspace? I guess if we're thinking about internships during your undergraduate degree, they can be in all kinds of places. If they were going to be in something like a private practice, you'd be really doing something more like the sort of administrative work, those sorts of things. So placements with psychologists or Headspace, etc., as part of our postgraduate training course are quite different to our work integrated learning placements. But at the postgrad level, we have all kinds of placements in private practice. We also have them in organisations like Headspace and hospitals, and a whole range of different kinds of areas as well. There was a question before, which I think might be one of our last today, which was asking about the Graduate Diploma of Psychology Advanced and the Honours Year, and whether they're equivalent. Alex, would you like to answer that one?
Yes, they're equivalent. The Graduate Diploma Advanced opens up 4th year to students from different backgrounds, different they've come from different places. The 4th year honours is more reserved for our own internal graduates. The Graduate Diploma opens other channels so other students can access us, and it's a fee-paying course, which means we're not limited by government places, so that gives us a bit of wriggle room in terms of the student load that we can take. But the content of the courses, their worth, their currency in terms of getting into postgraduate courses is exactly the same with us. So they're exactly the same thing. Can I just go back 1 second though to those really great questions we're getting about work integrated learning, etc. I would say yes, good. It's great that you're interested, but I would also push back on you guys and remind you, volunteering is the key. That is, there's no such thing as too much real life experience, especially in an area like psychology, where there's a lot of self-discovery, maturity involved in it, and there's a lot at stake. There's a lot of vulnerabilities there too. So don't just rely on us for things like work placements. A one-off experience is great. It can be a real defining moment, but it's just the beginning, you know. So I would say early on, and I would even be thinking 1st year and 2nd year, look for volunteer work, and we can help you with that as well. But look for volunteer work out there in the real world. You can't get too much of it.
Fantastic. Thanks, Alex. Now, unfortunately, that's all we have time for today. Thank you all for joining us today. Thank you to the panel, to Steph, Maria and Alex. And just remember that if you have some more questions, that we've got an all-day web chat that you can join. So it's at the bottom right of your screen where the expert staff are ready to answer your questions. And if you'd like to learn more, you'll also find loads of really useful resources on our Deakin Open Day website that we encourage you to explore. Thanks for your time, and we hope to see you at Deakin soon.